Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We're back.
You also forgot to do your clapping thing.
Why do you only ever remind me of this after we do the thing?
Because I just remembered.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do it right now.
All right.
I'm going to clap your little ears off. Did you enjoy that?
No. I did not. I haven't enjoyed that
It's
once.
okay. Your ears don't work very well anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Here we go. So I got these big headphones on.
Yeah, you love those headphones. Remember how you bought
I'm getting
those?
used to them.
Yeah, the very first time we tried to record, I gave Justin a pair of my old Bose headphones,
They're just
and they
falling
were
apart.
so ratty. And he's like, the next day he had new headphones.
Yeah, I don't know how.
He's like, I bought new headphones. Yeah, I want to wear your ratty old Bose.
They were bad. I don't know what you do with your headphones.
Well, those are just really old. They've been around for a minute. And Lily had them. I'm pretty sure they actually did get run over by a car
Well,
once.
they sure did. More than one.
Well, actually, I don't think the headphones came, but I remember we were going to Calgary one time and she, like, for a dance competition, and she was going with a friend. And I'm like, I don't even know how this happens. I look outside and I'm like, what's that in the road? And I look and I'm like, it's my headphone case from the headphones, the Bose headphones that I lent her. Like, those headphones were like $250 when I first bought them. And like, I see the case in the middle of the road, and then right on the top of the case, it's a big tire mark.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, she did not drop the headphone. And I look, and the headphones luckily were not in the case, but she, like, the case somehow fell out, and then whoever was driving ran it over. But the headphones do look like they've been run over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, welcome back to Real Good Human Stories.
Here we go.
And it's me and Justin again.
Yeah.
It's a me and what are we gonna call these episodes when it's just me and you?
Well, it is what it is.
It is what it is. This is an is what it is episode.
You don't get any special guests today.
No. Nobody. You're just stuck with us.
Yeah, we just had 3 great guests.
Yeah.
Those were awesome. So
yeah, we've had some really good guests, and we've got some good ones coming up too.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. But this one, we're thinking about talking about life pre-real estate.
Yeah.
What did it look like for us before we got into real estate, you and me? We both obviously had jobs before this. Justin, you want to kick us off? What was one job that you want to talk about that you did before real estate?
Like, just growing up in Devon, like, I would, like, my very first job was a dishwasher at a golf course, which a lot of people do. And then I jumped into Rabbit Hill, which I was there for like over 10 years. And then I moved into fitness, got out of fitness, and that's when I was jumping into real estate. But what I did is, because the real estate course at that time, like, I felt was like it was going to take me close to a year, I think, to complete. I went and got a part-time job, and my cousin ran a security concert company, and we'd work all the major shows in Edmonton, and so I was a security guard for these concerts. But it was more unique. You worked more closely with the bands and stuff, so you're around the stage or with the main security of the bands.
Yeah.
So that was always always every night was different, because you had all these different shows that would come to town. So
yeah. So you're always hanging around with different celebrities and stuff like that.
You're near them quite a bit. Sometimes you were it depends on where they stationed you. Sometimes you were quite involved in whatever the show would be. So it could depend. I remember just a quick one, Mariana's Trench was in town, and I was just working the front, and the security guy taps me, and the lead singer just jumps into the crowd, and the security guard's
crowd surfing?
He's crowd surfing, but he's grab his leg and do not let go. And I remember I was just holding on to Mariana's Trench's leg, and I'm I didn't know what he's doing. And then
so weird.
Yeah, we're both
grab his leg.
Yeah. So we'd hold on to his
Why?
leg while the crowd just kept him close to the.
What was the purpose? So they don't.
Just so they
him?
didn't suck him in, right? And he's singing while he's on top, and we're just
Really?
Yeah. So I'd leave him out there and
didn't
pull him.
Even get weirded out. This is part of the thing, right? He knows that somebody's supposed to grab his legs.
Yeah, he knew. Just some rando dude's gonna be holding, ripping you back in, right? Yeah. So
when you put on your resume, did you put professional leg holder?
Yeah, I can. Oh, you ain't gonna get sucked in.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So he didn't get sucked in.
No,
obviously.
he survived, which I feel pretty good about.
Perfect.
Yeah, so
Wow.
those are always fun. But then like when
Killed that.
you know, like I remember like now that like Taylor Swift is like all over the news these days, I was like, oh yeah, I worked Taylor Swift's concert way back before, like it wasn't the Eras tour or whatever it is these days. It was, but it was still like a huge show, and she was still pretty big. This would have been like 2013ish.
Yeah.
And we would work like the VIP, like when like the meet and greets.
Yeah.
Before or after the show, they'd bring him in. This is the old Coliseum.
Right.
So it was in like one of these like rooms, and I was kind of like working the door. So like the crowd would be here, and then she would like walk in like the main door. And I was talking to like the first people in line. They're just like talking and chatting. And then all of a sudden Taylor comes, and well, I was like, because they come fast, and they come with like their entourage of like bodyguards and stuff. And I remember like they're coming through, and it was kind of tight quarters, and I like threw myself kind of like to get like out of the way, and I smashed my head on like a TV that was behind me, like hanging on the wall. I just rang my head off this thing. And then they just like kept going by, and I'm just like, and then I look at the ladies. I'm like, did Taylor see me hit my head? They're like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, great.
She's like, oh, that poor guy.
Yeah, that poor guy. Yeah, you better get him off my security.
Yeah. Which guy do you want on your security, Taylor? How about not the concussed guy?
Not the guy that just smashed that TV.
Yeah. Yeah. You're really good at holding legs, but not so good at getting the hell out of the way.
Yeah, that was the one thing I can hold feet, but don't startle me by running at me like that. I'm not a good security guard that way.
You got a Taylor coming at you full force, man. It's like, no, you're just smashing your head on things.
They get crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. So your jobs are like clearly much more interesting than mine. I have not as interesting a past history, but I do have one thing. I'll tell a story about my very first job, which was I worked when I was probably too young to work. I think I can't remember how young I was. I was 16 at least. I know because I was driving. Okay. So I think I might have been about 16, but it was pretty new, like, to driving. And one of my Italian friends, Luca, his uncle owned one of the like food tents or trucks or whatever at the Fringe, and it was Giancarlo's Italian sausages. And Luca used to work there all the time for his uncle, and he was like, hey, my uncle needs some help. Did you want to come work? And I was like, yeah, man, I got a car now and I need to make money to put gas in it. My $5 of gas into my Honda Accord, so I should probably work, you know? So I'm like, yeah, like sign me up, let's go. So anyway, he's like, okay, so and at the time I don't know anything. Like I don't know what to ask for or like anything like that. I didn't negotiate a wage or anything. I just showed up and worked, right? Yeah. And I think at the time minimum wage was like, I was so low. It was like something like, it was right around $5 or like $4.75 or something like that an hour, right? This is like really dating myself. So $4.75 an hour was like minimum wage. And I remember after like this grueling freaking week of working at the Fringe in this like hell that was Giancarlo's Italian sausages, so hot, deep fryers, and like just getting splattered with grease all day and slanging like sausages. It was just a really like shitty experience altogether. And I was just thinking like, man, at least I'm like making some money here, right? Yeah. And then at the end of it, I remember like getting paid, and I'm thinking like, man, for some reason I thought this was gonna be way more money. Right? Yeah. I got the money and I broke it down like to how many hours I worked and stuff like that. And it turned out that this frickin' guy shafted me by 50 cents an hour. He paid me like $4.25 instead of $4.75 an hour. And I was so mad because I'm like, man, that is such a like shitty move to do to like a kid who's just like trying to get out there. But he's like, okay, this kid's like working and he can't do shit, right? Yeah. He's working under the table and all this stuff. So
he don't do nothing.
Yeah. So I did a really, really shitty job. for like $4.25 an hour.
Did you at least get to take some sausages home?
I don't think it was like, I don't think I like really wanted to eat the sausages.
You're at that point, you're just
grossed right out by them. I think maybe I had one the first day, and then after that I was like wandering around the fringe when I had like, that was the other thing too, is he never like gave us really any time off. He was like I think he gave us like 15-minute break in like an 8-hour shift or something like that.
Tough
that was
times,
like all we had. So it's like you can only go to the trucks near us to get food, and then you come right back and start handing out sausages.
Should have been a union back then.
Yeah. So that was a shitty job. I mean, it was no, holding Mariana's Trench's legs, but it's definitely an experience for me.
Yeah, I think we all kind of do something a little wild and or crazy in our days trying to get into figuring out what our careers are, right? So
yeah,
no, I was lucky enough to find I had a cousin that got me like a sweet gig, and worked out well.
Yeah, that's cool. Much cooler than my story.
Yeah.
No, anyway, these roads all eventually lead us to real estate, and that's probably a good segue into, how you and I first met originally, and our backstory a little bit.
Yeah, we were both already. Well, you were into it, like real estate, for probably 10 years at this point. Like I think you started in 2006. This was probably 2016-ish timeframe, 2017 maybe.
Yeah.
I was maybe like 4 or 5 years into it, but we didn't do any deals together prior to that. Like this was our first one, and it happened to be a listing I had that was just a few doors down from where I actually lived. And I had the listing. You brought the buyer. Took a little bit of like a time just negotiating, but we finally did. The deal got put through. Everything was good there, and then closing day came along, and that's where you got a phone call from your clients.
Yeah. The deal was super smooth, and which was like, that's why it was kind of odd to like hear anything after, like normally you don't hear things after possession, right? Like normally it's like possession date happens, you're like, it's fine. And I always do a walkthrough with all my clients like afterwards, and on like when we walked through it the first time, everything looked perfect. Like everything was like, it looked like exactly how I would expect it to look, right? So I was like, man, it's such a smooth deal, you know what I mean? Like we worked well together and everything was good. And then sure enough, like later on that night, my clients are like, so Rob, we noticed something is missing. And I'm like, oh really, what is it? She's like, all the shower heads that were here before are like gone. I'm like, so you have no shower heads? She's like, no. She's like, there's shower heads, but they're not the shower heads that were here when we looked at the house, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, really? So, like, I didn't even remember. But, yeah, like, they had some, like, really fancy, like, those rain shower heads, like, some really nice ones that were there. And they had taken them all and replaced them with, like, these, like, shitty, like, Home Depot builder special.
The builder basics from the original, right?
$20 shower heads, right? So not that big of a deal at the end of the day, but like those are things that would be considered like an attached good for people that don't know. Here's a PSA for you. That's an attached good that would stay with the house normally. And so they took all those with them. And Justin, and then what happened with you after I told you?
Well, I tried to find them, to see, like, what was going on, but I called my guy, and he's like, yeah, they're with me, like, and I'm halfway to the east coast of Canada, so, like, what do you want me to do? They're gone. Yeah, so easy solution, just run to Lowe's, grab a gift certificate. Your clients could have bought, like, any new fancy rain shower that they wanted, so.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, that's, again, that was, like, all part of why, like, we ended up here, was just, like, Justin, handled that really well, and he stepped up and actually, like, did something good for my clients, even though he didn't have to do that. It was just, like, just to keep good relationship with us, and just to make sure that the deal, kept smooth going, because he knew that he was responsible. Well, he wasn't necessarily responsible, but he was responsible for telling his clients what needed to go and stay, even though it's not something that you would normally have to tell people. It's like, hey, like, it's kind of like telling them, it's like, hey, you have to leave all the doors in the house. You know that, right? It's like, you don't feel like you have to explain that to people, but, sometimes you do, right? And then, shit happens. And sometimes as realtors, we got messes we got to clean up. And that was a good experience. And I remember thinking afterwards, I was like, like, it's a true professional to be able to, like, take that situation and do that for someone else's clients. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just to maintain our good standing.
Yeah, well, and they're going to be new neighbors, so let's.
That's the other thing.
There's
too.
a whole different side to it too, right?
Down from you, exactly.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I never crossed. I've never had the shower head issue again. I've had light fixtures a few times actually. People swapping out light fixtures, which is super annoying. But it's just one of those things that I think we kind of have to deal with every once in a while because people will they won't notice if I take this.
Yeah.
And
people
notice, right?
They know exactly.
They know what they're getting.
What light fixture they're getting. And now it's like you're not hiding it either because it's all in the photos on the MLS, right?
Yeah.
I remember the big thing used to be appliances.
Oh.
Like way back in the day. This was like decent MLS photos and stuff like that, right? But people would swap out appliances, right? Because they're unattached goods, they're not attached, right? But then people would just go out and buy a fridge, a basic ass fridge, and then they'd take their double door freaking bottom
water
freezer,
cooler,
with the ice maker,
the ice,
and then they leave this other fridge in there, right? So that used to happen once in a while, but now it's like I said, it's with all the photos and stuff on the MLS, it's easy to go back and be like, no, you gotta bring that back.
Yeah, that ain't yours. You sold that.
You sold that, exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of our very first meeting, and then after that we kind of hit it off, and you and I started working together doing marketing stuff for each other's listings and helping each other out because we had a very similar vision on that for what we thought we liked to do with real estate and marketing and stuff. Both had kind of a bit of a passion for it.
Yeah.
And then that was where we started doing our own listings, and then realtors started messaging us and asking us to do their listings, and then we started our own company, You Do You.
Yeah. You Do You, and then we've transitioned that under the good brokerage into good marketing.
Yeah.
But it's doing well. It's we're getting out there a little bit more, and I think that's been kind of both of our approach to real estate is trial and error. We're gonna try it. If it works, great, and that's like this.
Yeah.
This is we're trialing right now.
It's very trialing.
We're on the brink of error, right? And so this is all
many errors.
Right? This is all new to us, and I think that's been the thing. Is it's almost like every year we're just trying something new and hopping on whatever kind of trends are going on, and I think that's what all realtors have to do. And I remember when I first kind of started, we weren't the brokerage that really didn't want us to have our own social media, but I remember I was I need business, and I kind of
this was the first brokerage that you worked at?
Yeah.
You guys have social media?
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. And that's when it was slowly starting to really take off. So I think they just wanted more quality control. But I was I need to do something. And I was kind of I'd love to work with the Oilers. That was kind of I want to work with the Oilers. And then I never used Twitter ever. But if you guys remember Mark Arcobello, he was an Oiler for a few years. He just signed a contract, and so I went on Twitter, and I said, "Congratulations, Mark Arcobello, on the new contract." And at this time was when Carly Rae Jepsen's song "Call Me Maybe" was really huge.
Of course, it was.
It was huge, right? And so congratulations, Mark Arcobello, on the contract. # call me maybe if you need a realtor. And it was that night or the day after, I got this Twitter message from Mark Arcobello, let's maybe set up a time, see some places. And I was I remember looking at Mary, I'm did this actually legit work?
This guy is a scam.
This is not right.
Some random in his basement just trolling me.
Oh man, I take the wrong Mark Arcobello, or no. Then sure enough, a couple nights later, I'm picking him up from a downtown hotel, looking at condos, and then
that's wild.
Yeah, so sometimes you just gotta throw stuff out there.
Yeah. I wouldn't have even. I mean, you're right. It's you got to throw some shit against the wall, and hopefully something that's gonna stick, right? Yeah. I remember that. Man, that's so funny. You got so many celebrity stories. It's I think we'll have to start a segment after going forward for you, because I know you have a couple more and we'll just call it Justin's Celebrity Stories.
Look at that. You don't have a whole little echo effect in there.
An echo effect. Yeah, it's not a real echo.
Yeah. It probably won't be a long-lived segment. Like, I got Justin Bieber. We got Wayne Gretzky. Yeah. There's a few out there I could probably bring up.
We'll do it for a couple, and then we'll see how it goes.
See what else happens.
Who knows? Maybe from now till then, you'll meet a couple more celebrities.
Yeah, maybe.
So get on your Twitter.
Yeah, get on Twitter. I don't think I've sent a tweet since that one. That was like the one and only.
That was your first and last tweet?
Yeah, I was like, that's
You're like, you downloaded Tweeter.
Yeah.
Tweeter
now. Wow. I think they call it X now, not Tweeter. But
what it is? I don't know. I never had Tweeter.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I did have Tweeter for a minute.
But it wasn't what you thought it was. Why does everybody like this Tweeter?
I was like, I don't know why everybody's hyped up on this thing. There's only like 4 people.
Right? Nobody on here.
Yeah, and then I got rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, I never got no Mark Arcobello.
No.
Nobody. Yeah. Mark wasn't on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter didn't take off yet.
just on Twitter.
Yeah, still waiting to be taken off. Yeah.
So, well, let's do that. Let's do some celebrity stories, and then, I guess that's good enough for this one. What do you think?
I think so. It's a good episode.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, that was fun. Let's until next time. Have you heard my stomach growling this whole time?
I have not.
Oh, I feel like it's being picked up in the mic. Every time it growls, I'm like, oh, did you hear that? And you're looking at me like this, so I'm like, you heard it. I think you heard it.
I didn't. I'll try to pay more attention next time.
Yeah. Do you want to hear it?
No.
Then don't pay attention. No. It's not a fun sound. Anyway, that's a good time to quit. Let's go have lunch.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.